The world of SCP is very vast. What comes to mind to most are the many dangerous anomalies and the various groups competing against each other. When it comes to video games, often we play in the perspective of a SCP Foundation soldier. However, with the case of SCP-5K, it involves playing in the perspective of the Anti-Foundation Alliance, who opposes the SCP Foundation. SCP-5K's Area-12 campaign, it's something great to experience for many reasons. It's both fun to play either on your own or with others. There are challenges here and there, so let's dive in on why Area-12 is a mission you will not regret. Area-12's campaign begins at its Mountainside Facility. On this particular level, you will find how easy it is. Starting off, you will encounter a room where you have to walk up a miniature set of stairs and jump over in order to reach the code for the door. So the first code you will find in the starting area is 0451. It's the only code that's not randomly generated, which means on this opening part of the mission, you can easily skip that particular room and proceed to opening the door to the power generator, leading to the other room that takes you to other stages throughout this level. But that's not all I have to say for such a room. You see, I personally think this room is a good introduction to the player movement mechanic. It pretty much gives you the idea that jumping in this game isn't as fast and easy compared to other games. For someone such as myself, I do have experience playing Insurgency, a game that shares similar player movement, and just to sidetrack a bit, I did take 2 weeks off from playing Starship Troopers Extermination to play Forza Horizon 4, and upon realizing I needed to start playing SCP-5K, I never realized SCP-5K was Insurgency, but instead of the game being made in Source, it's made in Unreal Engine. But let's get back on topic. Area-12's Mountainside Facility phase of this mission. Overall, I would say it gives you a good rundown on what you can encounter. So on screen right now, you will see stuff such as power generators you have to activate. Such generators and any source of electricity are details you can easily miss because the game does not feature any hint or markers from a distance. You will only know that's a generator by looking at it, and upon coming close to one, you have to turn it on. Whereas other parts of the Mountainside Facility require you to shoot the source of the power in order to activate the door or other respective machines. But what about any threats on the opening level? Your first encounter of anomalous threats are the zombies. On screen, you will see this particular part of the mission. Upon pressing the red button, the zombies will run towards the door by the 2 trucks leading to the control room, and upon clearing the zombies, you will find your first randomly generated code at the truck containing the dead SCP soldier, and in the other truck you will find medical supplies you can use if you sustained any damage from fighting the undead. The first randomly generated code you find in the truck is then used to open the door to the control room. From there, you will press another red button that releases another horde of zombies held in the nearby garage door, and after that group of zombies is cleared out, the next step is to reboot the power in the room by the broken gates. From there, you will proceed to the area in which I would consider the first complex path of the Mountainside Facility. Entering in and keeping left, you will find more medical supplies and another pistol you can replace your M1911. And from there, activate the power to open the gate, and after clearing the area of zombies, this is where the complex area I consider starts. Upon entering the gate, there are multiple rooms labeled on the walls, one leading towards a storage room with zombies you have to clear out, and another leading to the generator. This is where you will realize you have to use your pistol to take out the power in order to proceed to the generator room. From there, you have to face off against more of the undead and another red button that releases the said threat from earlier. And to fast forward on talking about this level, if you were looking for another weapon to take along your crazy adventure in Area 12, upon entering the area labeled lockers and crawling through a miniature vent and into the kitchen, you will find the randomly generated code that will open up the storage in the room with the same name. From here, you will find a randomly generated weapon, which is one of the SMGs featured in the game. And on average, I tend to find the P90 SMG and heading back outside to the main area. But then again, the SMG you can find on this part of the mission is not your first primary weapon you can actually obtain. There is an area where you can shoot the power in the cargo lift, and from there opens a door that leads to a place where you can obtain a shotgun. But as usual, be careful, because in that room there's going to be zombies waiting for you there as well. And once that particular part of the mission is cleared up, it's time to get to your first freight elevator. And heading to the freight elevator room, you are greeted with your first upgrade station, but be careful because there's going to be a zombie on the left side. But before I talk about the freight elevator, there is one Easter egg that gives you a hint on what you can actually expect throughout the campaign. At this particular area with the forklift, shoot the power source on the wall and the garage door will open, and this is one of the Easter eggs you can encounter in the mission, showing a dancing crustacean along with SCP-173-B. So let's get back on topic and talk about the first freight elevator you head into. And at this point, I would definitely suggest keeping the shotgun because they are very effective at fighting off lots of enemies. When descending to the entrance zone, upon proceeding down the ramp, you are met with a message on the top right, showing you there are scuffles you will encounter. This is where, for the first time, you will notice SCP Foundation soldiers fighting off the undead. For these situations, you are free to either let them fight it out or jump in. And a nice hint from my teammate, Reaper. I was told the more players you bring along, the more enemies you will encounter. For example, in this stairwell, when you are on your own, you will only face zombies. However, with others, one crab will also be in that stairwell as well.
Thirsty water.
More zombies, more zombies!
By the staircase,
Crab is
and one
coming
crab.
up. The crab came up here.
At the end of the entrance zone, you are faced with another step of heading in, finding a randomly generated code, a weapon, and some ammo. After dealing with the undead that charges at you upon opening the door to the garage zone, it's another mix of dealing with the undead and Foundation troops in various levels. And if you are not paying attention before, you will notice the game offers various player models encountered throughout the game. You will notice the zombies that appear from the office garage door have party hats, and even as early as the first level of the campaign, you will realize the site has overrun both D-Class and SCP personnel. And here's something useful. On this particular gap, you can use it as a shortcut to surprise the site's security. But what about other anomalies? At this point, upon clearing the offices, the next anomaly to encounter, you will find yourself face to face with the statue, SCP-173-B. For your first encounter, the game sets it up so you can easily navigate while looking at the statue until you approach the staircase and close the door. Just remember to walk backwards.
Why did you even shoot? You can't even kill him. Did you look away? Wow.
If you are playing with others, just have one player have a staring contest with the statue while the rest of your team leave that one teammate behind. I mean, wait for everyone to group up. At this point, you will encounter another scuffle between the undead and the Foundation troops. And this is where you will be doing a loop around this part of the mission, powering on the gas by the pipes. But here's another hint on the other anomaly you will encounter. In the room where you first encounter the statue, up ahead before the stairs, you will notice biomass of the spitter plant, SCP-1262. This is the same area in which you're introduced to the task of lowering the water to make it safe across the tunnel. And fast forward upon reaching the water treatment plant. This is where you can restock on ammunition and weapons. This is one of the places you can easily have a high vantage point on the top railings, safe from the anomalies that manage to find their way to the control room. But for this particular room, you are facing off against SCP-098, and in the following encounter, this is where you face off not only against any Foundation soldiers that are still present in the canals, but this is where you will need to be quick, or those spitters, SCP-1262, will try to harm you. But then again, SCP-1262 is the least of your worries. You can easily avoid these sharp projectiles, and how I ensured I survived my encounter with the dangerous plant, I usually run in a zigzag pattern towards the door or the following hallway. Then there's the task of turning off the power so you can cross the water that leads to your next encounter with another set of remaining SCP Foundation soldiers up the stairs. And upon clearing them all, you are faced with, in my opinion, the best place to restock on weapons. This is where you have to stock up, because starting from the transport halls, a place you can easily see the tunnels of the final level of the Area-12 campaign, the transport hall, and going forward, you have more of Foundation soldiers all around. while the architecture and the setting for most of the mission can be seen as boring, for example, you are greeted by something brighter upon entering the common room. And at this point, this is where the hard part of the campaign comes in. There's SCP-7528, because similar to SCP-096, it will not go well if you look. And from many attempts I ran thus far, my successful solo attempt involved going to Screening Room 1's restricted access hallway, quickly running for the exit of Screening Room 2, and finally heading to Screening Room 3. And yes, it took me multiple attempts to accomplish this part of the mission, and this is one part of the campaign I find interesting because in this video I realized you can contain this anomaly by two methods. Link will be in the description below. I also wanted to say this part of the campaign is full of trial and error to suffice. The common room level is definitely a key moment because from my experiences playing the mission with others, it's definitely a part of the campaign in which you have to be careful because similar to the experiences you will face on the Outpost campaign, you can easily become surrounded by enemies. There's also another detail I noticed from another playthrough. Apparently, you can witness some of the D-Class walking around armed with weapons and gas masks they managed to acquire. This is a nice detail because during a containment breach, it's true that all hell breaks loose. Now, the common room, while it can be seen as the hardest part of the campaign in my opinion, the following part of the mission of reaching the reactor room, activating the switch, and leaving Area-12 on the cargo lift, I would say this part is the easy part, especially as a later stage in the Area-12 campaign. Just arm yourself with a LMG you can acquire in the top room in the reactor chamber. From there, you are good to go, and taking advice from my teammate Reaper, once again, you can use pistols for the first wave and grenades. But in the final room with the cargo lift, I think it would have been nice to be able to use the armored vehicle's turret when defending the lift to the surface. And in terms of character design, I did not expect to see a change on the visors worn by Foundation soldiers. While most fan art depicted the soldiers wearing black visors, showing them in orange actually made things easier, along with their weapons being unsuppressed most of the time, but not always. So, at this point in the video, other than the Area-12 mission, the game definitely surprised me, and this is due to the fact that it's true my choices in games are limited, and as stated earlier, I did take a break from FPS games until now. So here's some things I never expected. So for the weapons you can use in the game, I did not expect multiple from the same family. In the game there are multiple AKs, MP5 SMGs, and 2 scars you can use, along with the method of checking how much ammo you have left in your current weapon and the rest of the magazines or shells you have on you. And another thing I did not expect was the fact that shotguns are portrayed more realistically in this game, having a great range as opposed to how they are often portrayed throughout video games, showing the opposite. Let's recap and go over the layout of Area-12's campaign. You have the starting area, Mountainside Facility, a level that gives you a nice rundown of what you are expected to do and the simple task of using weapons to terminate your first encounter of anomalous threats, the undead. The level after it, the entrance zone, and the garage, you stumble across your first encounter with site security, and upon clearing the office, you are met with the statue 173B and a minor appearance of biomass, hinting at a minor threat that will make its appearance later in the campaign. You have the water treatment plant that places you on your first encounter with the crustaceous kind. Then entering the brick building area, you are shown a larger effect of the spitter's biomass and more presence of said plant. You have the transport halls and common room area, both featuring a great presence of site security that will come at you from all directions, along with harder to contain threats such as the screen anomaly, the reactor chamber, and the actual transport halls leading to the cargo lift, the same halls we saw earlier in the upper areas of the transport halls. This is where you have to fight your way out. Remember to watch your ammo, and it's best to take the LMG. To step aside a bit, if you wanted to ask about weapon recommendations, I would say it can be your choice for primary weapons. For secondary weapons, I would recommend the 5.7 because of its 20 round magazine. It can be very useful in dire situations if your primary weapon is out of action. And here's something I forgot to bring up. Whenever you pick up a weapon, if it's capable of automatic fire, it's going to be on semi-auto when you pick it up. So keep that in mind because I often forget. But to get back on track, I definitely see potential in this game. It's quite the step up from other SCP games. Again, it's cool to see the perspective of a group against the Foundation. Part of me was expecting the Global Occult Coalition, so hopefully down the road we can see skins of said group. And hey, I would love to see more weapons as well. If I could make some suggestions, I would love to see the 25 round magazine for the scars, and another weapon, I would love to see the AK-12 added to the game. I also wanted to add something I noticed. Upon starting up the game for the first time, the default sensitivity is actually pretty stable for such default settings, because in other games I've played, I often had to turn down such settings very low in order to have a stable experience. So, what do you like about Area-12's campaign? Is there any favorite part of the mission you enjoy? Do you have any favorite weapons? And how did your last experience go? Let me know in the comments below. My name is Dragon Actual, and thanks for watching. See you next time.